Bonjour, hi. Welcome back to another coffee talk. For those of you who are not familiar with coffee talks, it's a series I have on this channel where every Friday I sit down with a cup of coffee. I sip on it while I talk about different topics that have been on my mind for the past week, and this week is no exception. Wow, yep, the sun is coming out, as if I was ready for this week's coffee talk. Let's do it. But obviously, being true to myself, I will never start a coffee talk by the actual topic, and I will ramble about random stuff before getting into it. So now we're getting into it. This week, we are talking about self-doubt and self-judgment. And more precisely, why hating yourself is not doing you any good. I said hating yourself. That's maybe not what I meant, at least not in a literal form, obviously, but what I meant was why being hard on yourself is not serving you. That's what I meant, yeah. So there you go. Like many of my coffee talks, it started with a thought, and then I had a conversation about it with someone, and that conversation didn't necessarily go where I expected it to go. But that person made me realize that in the past weeks, even the past months, ever since the month of August and even July. So yeah, a couple of months ago, I gave myself the challenge, or I should probably say the opportunity of becoming my best self and of glowing up and achieving goals and accessing my best life. And I have a whole series about it, and I actually need to update you all on this. But that's going to be a video dedicated to that. But what led up to this week's coffee talk is I was having this conversation about that, precisely about wanting to become my best self and having all these goals and everything, and feeling almost like a failure because I was not able to achieve everything that I saw myself achieving or that I wanted to achieve. And I put so much pressure on myself for that, but I realized that generally speaking, I put a lot of pressure on myself for many, many things. And I am my hardest and harshest, if that's even a word, critique. I like to hold myself accountable for many things, and I like to, I guess, have high standards for myself. I do have high standards for other people as well, but never as much as I do for myself. And I guess that, yes, having high standards for myself and having all these expectations for myself holds me, or puts me in a place where I want to succeed. But it also makes me hate myself when I don't achieve XYZ. Not necessarily hate myself, but I'm being so hard on myself, and I make myself disappointed easily because I don't achieve a certain thing, or I don't achieve it the way that I thought I would, or not as greatly, or not as fast. And it makes it hard for me to kind of understand myself. It's so weird. It's as if whenever I succeeded at something, it was like, it wasn't a big deal. I do feel pride, but it's like, yeah, it was my goal anyway, and I achieved it. That was the whole point. Whereas when I do fail, it almost makes me feel like guilty and ashamed and devastated, because it's like, I had this plan, but I was not able to do it. And that's quite essentially failure. Yeah. And I've actually done a coffee talk all about failure, where I say that failure allows you to learn and grow and whatever. And I do stand by that for other people. Because when it comes down to me and applying this mentality to my own failure, it's hard, because all of the self judgment I guess I have for myself, and I'm like, as I said, I'm my hardest critique, and I will always critique myself more than I critique others. And so whenever somebody around me fails, I'm like, yeah, just pick yourself back up. You've got this. We'll find a way to make it work. It's okay. It's part of the process. You're learning, blah, blah, blah. But like, when it comes to me, it's, again, easier said than done. I feel like I say this in every single coffee talk, but I guess it must be true. And so, if we come back to the conversation I've had with a friend of mine who said, you know what, you're being a little hard on yourself. Like, you're a human being. You're not some sort of superhero. That's not what they said, but essentially that's how I read it. And it kind of stuck with me. I've been thinking about that conversation ever since I've had it, because they made a fair point. I am being hard on myself, and I recently realized that it did not make me any good, because whenever I don't feel as confident, or I don't feel as productive, or I don't feel as motivated, I will take that feeling and turn it into guilt, and turn it into shame, and turn it into frustration towards myself. And so I get into this vicious cycle of not only I don't feel motivated, but I am angry about the fact that I don't feel motivated. And it just all comes back to the same, where I don't progress because I'm stuck in these negative feelings instead of just letting it pass and letting that day be as is, and then move on and wait for a couple hours later, or even a couple of days later. And ever since I've had that realization, which was not a long time ago, I've tried to navigate through all these feelings and stay in a state of mind where I don't want to use a bad day as an excuse for not doing stuff, but also accepting the fact that I'm going to have bad days, and some days are going to feel better than others, and some are going to feel worse than others, and I can't always be 100% productive, and I can't always feel like I'm the most beautiful woman out there, and I can't always feel like whatever work I'm doing is the best work out there. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, and it's okay. And on those days where I don't feel as confident, that's just it. It's one of those days where I don't feel as confident, and I don't have to make a big deal out of it, and I don't need, and I shouldn't be hard on myself for feeling that way, because I'm human. And I wanted to take the time to talk about this in today's coffee talk and talking about my personal experience, because I know a lot of people who are just like me and who are being too hard on themselves for whatever reason, for whatever sphere of their life, whether that's romantically, physically, mentally, professionally. Why are we being so hard on ourselves? Maybe because we know all of our deepest issues and thoughts and problems and insecurities. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe not. I guess it has something to do with it. Personally, I'd say it's because I know my flaws. I know my weaknesses, and I know where work needs to be done. And I'm trying to do the work. And so whenever I am incapable, or whenever I feel incapable of doing that work, I'm like, do it, girl. And I feel frustrated with myself because I want to do it, but I don't do it. And I'm like, why don't I do it if I want to do it? You know? But the thing is, I've never been that hard on anybody else. If you don't want to do something, don't do it. That's what I keep saying to people around me. But yet, I can't say it to myself. I can, but it doesn't process. Might as well repeat it 100 times. My little brain won't process those words. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to process them. Process. Whatever works for you or for me. Essentially, my point today is, don't be so hard on yourself. We all are, but don't be. Wow. What an insightful thought. You're welcome. But more seriously, what I'm trying to say is being hard on yourself is not doing yourself any favor, because while you're focusing and putting the emphasis on something that's making you feel some sort of way that would be considered negative, you're not appreciating what's positive. You're not appreciating all the little things that are going well in your life, whether that's being kind to someone or having a cup of coffee that makes you feel good, or reading a book that you like, or listening to your favorite music, or listening to your favorite podcast, or talking with your friends on the phone, or I don't know, just walking outside and enjoying the birds chirping, or seeing a couple who looks happy together. Everything that's going well, you're not realizing it's going well because you kind of take it for granted. I mean, speaking for myself, you do you, but yeah. Anyway, my point is, stop being hard on yourself and appreciate what's going good. What's going good? Is that even a thing? What's going great? What's good? You know, appreciate what's good. I wouldn't say I'm getting lost in the sauce here like I usually am, but my choice of word is definitely going downhill. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me. I truly, truly, truly mean it. Hopefully I have made a difference in your day today. If you would like to make a difference in mine, you know what to do. And I'm going to wish you une bonne journée.